Hey YouTubers, so we've got quite a few parts here on the bench. That's a clutch kit with a pressure plate, obviously clutch plate and throwout bearing. There's a master cylinder. It is an aftermarket one, Taiwanese brand, but who really cares? And a slave cylinder. Now, slave cylinder was $32. Master cylinder was $109, clutch kit was $150. I got the flywheel machine for, what was that, $40. And then just the rocker cover, gasket and cam seal, which are both leaking, consequently leaking down all into the bell housing, which is probably why I'm doing this job. So yeah, we've got a bit of a job to do today, but it's a relatively easy job on this car, apart from the release lever and pivot or pivot socket knuckle ball thing. Apparently they wear quite badly, and you need to shim them, and apparently that's a bit of an ordeal, but we'll see, I suppose. But it's not too hard to get this engine out. It's just a matter of undoing the alternator, power steering pump, getting them out of the way, taking off the cold air intake, taking all the AFI loom out, getting the hoses disconnected, selector, once it's disconnected, take the clutch master, or slave off, sorry. Then you slip the drive shafts out and take the bolts out of the engine mounts, and she's out. It's not a hard job at all. It's a little bit tricky to get it out without smashing the master or the brake master cylinder to pieces, though, because the gearbox sits just slightly under the bodywork. But it's about time I did it. It's about a year since I put it back together, and the clutch has been shit the whole time, so I thought I might as well do it. Well, I might get away with just taking the power. No, I won't. You can't get the power steering pump off without taking the alternator off. I'll take the radiator out as well, and the battery, obviously. So it shouldn't be too much of a job. Worst thing is you have to suspend the engine, then unbolt the air conditioning compressor. You can do it if you, well, you could sort of get in there to do it now, but I'm going to leave the inlet manifold on because I don't want to have to replace all the gaskets and shit on that, and it's an absolute pain in the ass to get all the bolts in from behind. I'll undo the exhaust flange down there, I'll leave the manifold on, I'll just take the radiator out so I can't puncture it when I lift it out. So, I'll have to go and get a chain block, because I've only got that little hand winch there, but I'll go and get a chain block and then we'll start the job. I love having a proper garage. Car obviously needs to be pulled in a bit over though. So anyway, I'll get a move on. Time, and it's totally hanging at the moment. I suppose it took an hour and a half to get to this point, but she's totally hanging. That mount's pushed in. I'll have to just pry that mount out, and then all it is taking the air conditioner compressor bolts out once I get it up a bit higher where I can get into it. That'll be it. So I'll try and position the camera so I can get a bit of removal, but we'll see. And that might do it. Bit of coolant blowing out. Alright, I'll have to get that bolt out. It's just hanging up on one of the chassis bolts. So, if you can see in there, I cut a bit of dowel and stuck under the knuckle, the throw out, where is it, pivot knuckle thing, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if you can see it in there, but you can see the bit of dowel I cut. I've greased up all the points. Not too much grease in there, obviously, because we don't really want that flung everywhere in our gearbox. I mean all over our new clutch, so we'll shove that back on. And the clearance is meant to be so that when it's there it just about touches. So now I just need to take a tiny bit off that pivot. So you can see it just touches here before it touches down there. So I'll take that bushing out that I made, file a tiny bit off it until it's just a bit before, so it stops say there. So anyway, we'll do that. So we're just about to drop it back in. I've done most of all what I need to do with them now, obviously, so we'll just work her in slowly. Don't like, my beam's looking alright. I just got to bolt the air conditioning compressor on before I let it all the way in. The part that I hate. I should buy an engine crane, but this is pretty convenient as long as the garage doesn't fall down. It's tricky trying to avoid all the crappy hoses and shit that are everywhere. Might do that compressor now. Alright, turn off the camera if you want. Alright. Get in there. Everything everywhere in this engine, boat. Matthew, shut up. Yeah, get in there. Alright, well I'll put the gearbox mount in, which is that one, then I'll come back to you. Kill it. Taking the footage in between, but she's all back together and running now. I'm just bleeding the air out of the cooling system, and it looks like that's done, so we'll go for a bit of a test ride. She's up on the ramps. I've just gone back and forth a few times, but it's nice and warm, so we must be getting good flow through there. And the goes in reverse, easy as pie now. Used to have a bit of trouble, probably because it wasn't disengaging properly. It does have a little bit of a whining noise, the clutch, but I'd say, well, in fact I'm almost sure that's just the beating in noise. Okay. I don't know if you can hear it, it's just very slight. That's second gear. I think there's some sort of spanner that just flew off then. I'll change it back down to first. Well, first goes into first easier. It never used to want to go in when it was moving, so the old clutch mustn't have been releasing properly. Well, that's one thing ticked off the list now. Alright, so we're taking it for a test drive now. I don't think I've ever done a video in this car, but anyway. There's someone coming. much better than it was, that's for sure. Even my mother commented on how much smoother the gear changes are. Anyway, looks like we've got something with hazard lights on up ahead. There you go, that's a little look at the old girl. Okay, YouTubers, so there's one question I have to pose to you guys. Now, I'm sure there's plenty out there that have done clutches before. I've done them, but well, I've done one on my neighbour's ute before, but that was using a brand new flywheel, so there was no doubt about that. But the one thing is, when you reverse, it's actually a bit rough until you let the pedal fully out. Now, I'd reckon that's just because of the surface, because if you can imagine the flywheel surface, you know, as they machine it around it, it's got sort of those curved machining marks in it. So when you're reversing, well, hang on, no, it's not going to make any difference, is it? Alright, it's just in reverse, it's quite a lot. If you can hear that. Might just be the mounts. The difference is quite large. If you can hear that noise, I don't know if you can. That's forwards. That's perfectly smooth, but backwards. I'll put the window down a bit. Trying to make it do it. If you can hear that. Pretty evident there. There you go. So, assuming that's normal, I don't know. Might just be the engine mounts, which is probably what it is. I don't know if you can hear that noise. I'd say that's normal. By the sound of it, doesn't sound like a mean noise. Anyway, well, I'd reckon that's just the mounts, I don't know. We'll see what happens when the flywheel beds in a bit. I mean, when the clutch beds in a bit. Because I've only done about 20k on it, so you can't expect it to be like brand new. I mean, like, you know, you can't expect it to be like decent straight away, so it's like brakes. Oh, excuse me, I've had a long day. I suppose it's just like brakes. It takes a while for them to bed in, or for the clutch to and the flywheel to bed into each other, mate up. But it should be pretty, it seems to be pretty good. It's just that reverse issue, and I don't know. I don't think I'll worry about it just yet. If it's still a problem, you know, in a week or two after about 200k or so, I'll wait until about 500k. If it's still a problem at 500k, so I reckon that's when it should be bedded in by. If it's still a problem then I'll have to do something about it, or I'll go and see the bloke who machined the flywheel and see what he has to say. So anyway, this is going to be a massively long video, so thanks for watching. Thank God that's done.